Scrolling Sword, long time no see. Welcome back. We just read chapters 55 through 57 of the book of Psalms. To recap, we are in the second book of the book of Psalms, which has been historically called the Psalter. There's 5 entire works of literature inside of the Psalms, and today I want to focus on chapter 56, verses 3 and 4. In these verses, I see that faith does not mean that you never feel fear. Faith means fear does not get the final word. Can I get an amen from the people of God? In verse 3 of 56, David says, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you." Can I just relieve a little bit of the pressure in your life and in your heart and in your soul this morning? Jesus had told us hundreds of times to do not fear. That is actually not a commandment to never have any fear and squash it down. And no, he is giving you a, what's the right word? He's inferring that you will be afraid, and there is a time to stop it and to trust God. So we typically translate that to, if I feel afraid, then I am in the wrong. That's not the point. David brings it back and says, "When I am afraid, I put my trust in you." That's the key. David doesn't deny fear. He gives fear somewhere holy to go. He makes his fear honest before he makes it fearful. So we just must be honest with ourselves and the Lord in the moment of our fear, saying, "Lord, I am afraid, and I'm going to give it to you." The psalm is connected to David being seized by the Philistines in Gath. This is the hometown in the region of Goliath and his brothers. Imagine how afraid David would be in this situation. But when it's all said and done, faith is not proven in safe spaces only. It's often formed in places they should really terrify you. And we have to locate trust inside of the threat. Peter Craigle says it this way, that Psalms 56 moves between human hostility and deliberate trust in God. You know, fear may be absolutely real, but trust becomes the decision to place it in a greater reality beside it. You know, emotion and allegiance is a real contrast that we have to deal with. And our culture often treats fear as either something to obey completely or something to hide completely. And Psalm 56 gives us a way better way. Name fear and then hand it to God. We got to reject the denial of fear, and we have to accept the surrender of the panic and the fear. Verse 4 moves into David saying, "In God, whose word I praise, in God I trust, I shall not be afraid." He moves from "when I'm afraid" to "I shall not be afraid," showing trust being preached in his own soul. We got to start preaching to ourselves. We got to start preaching that we actually trust God when we are feeling afraid. Faith is this movement. It's not a mood. And the underlying beauty is that David does not silence fear by pretending the danger is small. Like, "Oh, that's just a little giant. Oh, that's just a little army." No, he declares that God is greater. Look, your giant is an absolute giant of a behemoth standing in front of you in your way. And the idea is to not diminish or to minimize that, but it's actually to magnify the greatness of God. Courage is not the absence of danger. It is confidence in the God who stands above it. And David asks the question, what can flesh do to me? Not because people are harmless, but because people are not ultimate. Fear shrinks when God becomes bigger than the thing threatening you. We got to resize the threat under God. It's like giant. Yeah. We got to remember, how kids sometimes will say, "How much do you love me?" "I love you this much." Like that's them saying that's as big as I can love you. Here's the deal. In our humanity, we can only scale things to a certain degree. So in our minds, what we need to do is like, okay, our giant is this big. It's as big as I can think about, but God's actually bigger. So let me make space for God. And I'm making the giant go like this. He's still really as big as he is, but like I am reframing how big God is. God is always bigger than any giant, any army, any fear that I am coming up against. We have to resize the threat under the trust of God. We live in this anxious age where headlines and diagnoses and finances, relationships, or uncertainty constantly trains our soul to expect collapse. But the question is not whether fear will speak, but whether fear gets to pastor your soul. We have to challenge the anxiety that comes into our hearts, and we need to challenge it as discipleship. I do not accept you. I take every thought captive, like the Apostle Paul says. So faith is not never being afraid. Faith is bringing your fear to God until trust becomes louder than terror. All right, love you. I hope that encouraged you. See you in the discussion room.